It's 9 o'clock. It's a Saturday morning. Yes! It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo, 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 woo. Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's good to be back. Feeling much more comfy now. Thank you everyone for your emails actually regarding the electricity, and I am safe and I am well, and I'm quite toasty warm actually this morning. I've put a temporary fix in with the electrics, which we all know is going to be a permanent fix, basically, all thanks to my good friend gaffer tape. I've had a bit of a blinding week, I must say. I did an interview with Craig Petty on Magic TV that came out last Saturday, a week ago now. I've probably almost been replaced by someone else. I must just say it got some lovely comments, and thank you very, very much for everybody who left a comment, or everyone who feels the same as those comments. It really kind of touched my heart, to be honest. So thank you very much indeed. Enough about me though. Let's get on with some reviews. And first up, we have Inside by Michel. This came out a week or so ago. I think it's been flying off the shelves ever since, which is why I didn't get a chance to review it last weekend, simply because I didn't have any copies left. The effect is that you are holding a sealed paper bag, and your participant can name any card that they like from a deck of cards. You open the bag, you tip out a deck of cards. Your participant can remove the cards from the deck themselves, from the box. Eventually there's a little piece of paper inside the box as well. You open it up and it's a prediction saying that their card will be at a certain number in the deck. They deal down the cards themselves, they turn over the card at that number, and wham, it is the very card that they named. Yeah, it's a version of any card at any number, I suppose, is probably the best way of describing it, apart from in this case the deck isn't out in play at the start of it, which for me that is probably one of the things about any card, any number. The deck should be shuffled, put down on the table and clear out in the open. However, the best thing about this is it is pretty easy. It is any card, and it does appear at the number that is on that note. There aren't multiple notes, there aren't multiple outs, there's no equivocate. It is really, really clean, but there are some gimmicks involved. But interestingly enough, the gimmicks that do the work are sort of innocent and just fly by. So let me show you what you get in here first of all. So because you get in here quite a lot of stuff. The tutorial is by Michel. It's about 20 minutes long. It's got a proper performance on it. It's got a studio performance on it, which funnily enough is in English, and then the tutorial goes on to be in Spanish. It's by Vernet, so it's Argentinian Spanish, if that's different to regular Spanish, I don't know. But what you get in here is, what can I show you, is you get the bag, which is quite a sturdy bag. It's you know, it's a strong sort of envelope more than the bag, I suppose you'd call it, but you get that. You get the card box. It comes flat. You've just got a little bit of peely tape to seal it up at the bottom. That just protects it, really. It's probably the easiest way of shipping a card box. And you get some gimmicks here. Now, you get a post-it note here. This is what really, really impressed me with this. So you get some post-it notes. Obviously, there's no real reason for them to include post-it notes. They're pretty much available everywhere. You might even have them running around your house, but very nice that they did. You also get the piece of paper to write your prediction on. This will get you started. Obviously, your prediction's going to change depending on what card they chose. So you need to write it down on this piece of paper, but this shows you exactly how to fold your piece of A4. So he runs through it and on the tutorial as well, but it's very nice. They've given you an example to get you started. And that's a really nice touch, really impressed with that. And you get some other gimmicks that I can't really show you. The box is gimmicked and the bag slash envelope is gimmicked, but it flies by. The box, your participant can handle the box. That's absolutely fine. Don't you worry about that. They can take the cards out themselves. You provide the deck of cards yourself, so that's good as well. Angle wise, you don't really want anyone standing behind you. Well, I mean, it's one of those classic things in Magic, really. I'm not even sure that should really be counted as a restriction. You know, yes, you're doing something that behind the bag that you don't want anyone else to see. But other than that, all of the actions are really natural and motivated. Everything is pretty much done and dusted. Once that box is out of the bag, you are clean. Put the bag away and you are done. It's great. It is really, really clever idea. It fooled me. I had no idea how it was done. It isn't even what I thought. So that's great. And you get everything to do straight out of the box. There is two ways of doing it. So you may not particularly like the version that Michel teaches. That's absolutely fine. So that's what the post-it notes are for. I think if you watch the trailer or any of the performances, you'll see that post-it notes aren't used. That's another way of doing it. It's up to you if you find that easier or not. The deck is set up in a special way. I don't want to tell you, don't want to give the game away, but I want to tell you all of the information. You don't necessarily have to know that exact setup. There is something that comes with the product that'll help you, so don't worry if you don't know any particular deck setups. Despite the tutorial being subtitled, it is really, really well taught. There's even a bit where Michel uses a clear bag to demonstrate exactly how everything should work when tipping the box out of the bag. So that's really, really nice. And he takes his time. Everything is really, really thorough. You're not missing out. You know, there's no questions. I think he's just answered all of them. And it is really simple, direct. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful effect. It's a perfect opener because you can use the cards straight afterwards. They've got the cards out, they've got them in the hand, they do the dealing down anyway, and there's nothing, you know, there's nothing to hide. It's great as an opener. At the end, Michel teaches the alternative handling, which uses the post-it notes. I think that's, I don't know if it is slightly less strong. You do end up writing down the card that they have said, which perhaps you can justify going, just so you don't change your mind. I've written it down if you wish. Perhaps it's a little bit stronger. Perhaps it's just better if the number isn't written down and just repeated and ingrained into people's memories. But it's good either way. I think it is a great way to kick off any card routine. It is Inside by Michel, $29.99. Next up, it's Flux by Roddy McGee and Noel Qualter at tricktrickboom.com. This is a reissue, really, of Roddy's trick Flux, which should be called Flux 1.0, but I don't think he knew there was ever going to be a second one, which he released through Full 52 with Dave Forrest about a decade ago, I imagine. It's now re-released. It was pretty popular 10 years ago. They've made it better, I have to say. Originally, you only had one reveal. Now you've got two reveals. The cards are now specially printed. Before you had a stencil and you had to sort of do it yourself. And there's also something else in here that I think is really, really smart and a bit of a universal gimmick. But let me tell you the Flux effect first. You have a card chosen and lost in the deck. You then ask a second spectator to see if they can try and find that card. They have a go, but they get it wrong. You then say, well, what we can do is I give you a Sharpie, I'll turn this card over, and on the back of that card, you make some marks without seeing what you're doing, and the spirits will guide you. You then turn over the deck to reveal that they've actually just made a mishmash of ink all over the back of the card, but with a little bit of shake before their eyes, it transforms into the name of the chosen card, and that card can then be handed out as a souvenir. Now, I do know Roddy, I do know Noel pretty well, and I wouldn't say this if I didn't honestly mean it, and Noel and Roddy know this. I think this is great. That visual reveal when those spots change into the words, the Two of Hearts or whatever it might be, is absolutely jaw-dropping. I've seen it, I've done it, it is amazing. It is one of the best card reveals that I've seen in a very long time. It is just so visual. It does look like the ink's moving. It's really strong. I can't get over it. It is really, really good. The tutorial is well introduced by both of them, but it is Roddy doing the teaching, and he runs through a bit of the history. He then runs through how he does the handling, and then he teaches it all pretty thoroughly indeed. There are a couple of things you might worry about. So the markings, when they're marking the back of the card, I think I would probably be nervous about the idea that it doesn't feel very natural, and when you turn it over, they might think that that isn't quite the markings that they're making. That is not the case. It's been done on friends of mine, and they are absolutely convinced they have made those marks on the back of the card. They do not question that at all. The other thing is that it's not self-working. There are some sleights involved. They're sort of basic sleights, but they're a bit knacky and they're not the most common ones. So Roddy does teach them pretty well, but you've got the Hoftiger under the spread force, which is pretty easy. I'm sure you'll master that one. But there is something called, well, I think it's probably Jay Sankey's Wichita Slip from Jay Sankey's Unleashed back in 2009. And that is a little bit knacky. It'll take a bit of practice, but it is also one of those moves where the big movement covers the small movement, so it doesn't have to be completely perfect. And if you're anything like me, you know, my card handling is not super sharp. I'm not Ben Earle, so a little bit of a fumble here or there doesn't matter. So I wouldn't worry too much about that move. I would definitely give it a go. Roddy does teach an alternative at the end of the tutorial, which is easier, and I think probably plays just as well, to be honest with you, but it doesn't involve the second spectator as much. So I would rather do it with the Wichita Slip, which I'm probably building up to be harder than it genuinely is. I won't show you the gimmicks because I don't want to give the game away too much. But what is nice is that these are the cards. You get two revelations. So you get the Two of Hearts, and you also get the Nine of Hearts. One of the other nice touches is that these cards are in fact all black spot cards, and that's because your two revelations are red spot cards, and you don't want anything coming up too similar. So for example, if the Nine of Diamonds came up and they actually chose the Nine of Hearts, there might be some confusion that it wasn't actually their card. And then you have a little extra that might be one of my favorite things about this trick, is that you get something on the back of here. We get the instruction link on the back of here, but you also get something that means you'll never have to dry out a Sharpie again. Two of them, in fact. Nice, simple, job done. Big tick for this. What more can I say? It does take practice, so don't think you're going to be doing this straight away. It's not a self-worker. You are going to want to learn the moves as well as you can. It's also, you provide, you know, you're using your own deck most of the time. So Roddy does teach a way of getting into it if you're going to do it as your second routine or so on. The actual setup, you're only adding a few cards, a few gimmicks to the deck, so it's not that difficult. It's a bit of a faff to switch them into the right position, but you can do it out in the open if you're casual enough about it. That is Flux by Roddy McGee, Noel Qualter, available at tricktrickboom.com for £40. And now get on to the edge of your seats because it is time for the draw. Yes, one of you lucky people, well, only if you've entered, I suppose, are going to win Jiggernaut by Mark Jennist, a wonderful little ball and cup routine using a jigger. All your names are in here. The Wok of Destiny. Let's just see. The Lucky Wok. Oh, there you go. That's Steve McQueen probably jumping out there. There we go. Here we are. And the winner is Colin Goodgroves. There you go, Colin. Oh, wow. There you go, Colin. So it always leaves some lovely comments on the show. That's great news, isn't it? Isn't it? I'm sorry if you didn't win. I'm just very pleased for Colin. Colin, I will send out a Jiggernaut to you first thing on Monday morning. And now, next up, we have the big one. It is Focus by Craig Petty. Yes, it is another collaboration, really, by Craig and Phil Smith to create a deck that has so much built into it you wouldn't believe. It's very hard for me to describe effects that you can do with this trick because it is incredibly versatile. You could do mentalism routines where you name the film that someone's thinking of, or you can name the year the film's released, or you can name the quote from the film. You can do lots of card tricks. You can have cards, invisible deck style tricks. You can do lots of card matching effects, lots of finding the card, any card trick really. The tutorial is a whopper. It's over 10 hours long. It is like binging all of the Rocky films. So I'm not going to go through all of the effects. It would simply run through several shows. It is as versatile as it can be, and Craig leaves absolutely nothing out. And that is why these decks have been so popular, and I think probably why Craig's got a little bit addicted to them. I think this is, as he said himself, probably the one to end all of them. I think it's probably got the best hook. Films are universally known. People have probably heard of them, even if they haven't seen them. And they probably heard of the actors, even if they probably heard the name, even if they can't put a face to it, all of this stuff. And people have connections to film. So I think it is possibly the best theme. It is designed to look like one of those decks that you might buy an airport to torture your kids with when you're on holiday so they get off their screens. It does look completely legit. The Phil Smith has done his optical marking system all over the backs of them, basically. And there's so much information on the back. It is absolutely ridiculous. But it's like a book on the back, really. But yeah, and it's not done. So you have to remove any sense of memory or any crib whatsoever. So you get the full name of the film. You don't just get the first two letters. You don't just get, anything like that. You get the whole name of the film. So you don't have to remember anything. You get all of the information is written down. The quote bit is probably the hardest bit. If you're not familiar with the quotes, they, for me, were the hardest bit of the marking system to read because I didn't know what they were going to be. So you have to sort of familiarize them a lot. Other than that, all of the information is as clear as day. When you know it's a date or a number or any one of the 26 films, a quick glance and you're absolutely fine. Craig goes into great detail about how to get the glimpse and how to read the backs and things like that. This you get a crib card as well. I won't show you the crib card, just in case it's giving away too much. But so although Craig does teach exactly how to where all the markings are on the tutorial, you also get a crib card to remind you. You get 26 picture cards. I'm going to show you the cards, don't you worry. Don't you worry, I'll show you the cards. So you get 26 picture cards that are made to look like the movie posters. They're not actually the real film posters. They are cleverly done by Phil himself to look as genuine as possible, and they really do. I would quite like. I don't know whether it's just because of the quality of the cards. You know, they're nice air cushion cards. They really do handle well, but I don't know. Maybe they're fine. Maybe they're fine. I don't know. I sort of thought they'd pop more, but it might just be the unfortunate lighting on the boat. Some of them look a little bit dark to me. I'll show you the backs as well, because the backs are lovely and everything hides completely in plain sight. There is no suspicion on the back of the cards as well. They're really nicely done. And then you get, instead of the movie posters, you also get quotes. I'm getting them the right way up. So you have all of the quotes from the films as well, and you get 26 of these. So it's actually sort of 2 decks of 26 is what you get. And some of the effects might require you use all 52 cards. You might have them separated, you might have them mixed together, you might just use the posters, you might just use the quotes. I hope you're getting an idea of just how versatile this is gonna be. The tutorial split up into 4 different videos, I think. Interestingly enough, they've got an index as the first panel when you click on them, and those indexes are wrong. They actually sort of relate to the video before the one that you're clicking on. I think that's probably a mistake, but it is quite handy because you do then still have the visual reference menu for the video you're watching without having to go back. And it starts off with an unboxing where Craig runs through all of the cards and the basics of how this works. So I'm going to have to use the crib to tell you exactly everything that's on the back of these cards. So you have the film itself, the mother of all book test word, the year the film was made, the quote, who said the quote, the next film, if you're using this in a cyclical stack, the next film's mother of all book test words, the next quote, the box office on the card, and the movie's director. So the box office is really interesting because the box office isn't mentioned on any of these cards. So when you reveal that, you actually have to ask your participant to check it on their phone. So that is a really neat touch. I kind of like the idea that that isn't in play at all. So that is the markings. But I must say, with the mother of all book tests, which Craig has used before on some of the other projects with these, with this, there's none of that fishing. The mother of all book tests is a great method in itself. And with this, the sort of second part of the method's missing because you do actually know exactly what the word is. So it's kind of used just as a way of forcing the word, and you know exactly what it is. So there's no fishing. Do try and make it look like you are actually reading their minds, though, rather than reading the cards. And the cards are also in an alphabetized cyclic stack. So there you go. That means that you can know the card before, the card after, if you want. It is very, very versatile, and that opens up so many tricks. It is bonkers. But that is exactly why I think this is a hobbyist's dream, because you've got all of the card tricks that you want, really, you can do with this. All of the mentalism tricks that you want, you can do with this. There's a good reason why the tutorial is 10 hours long. The tutorial starts with Craig teaching, well, about the deck, and then he teaches a move section, and that move section is an hour long in itself, and it covers all of the basic card moves you're ever really gonna need, I would have thought. It's got some false cuts, some false mixes, some forces, color changes, controls. I think he briefly touches on a palm. There's a trick that does use a palm. if you want to use that, and even a couple of more sort of slightly harder sleights, but all of the basics are covered. It's a masterclass. It will give you loads and loads of tools. And this is one of the things that I do like about Craig's project, is he gives you so much. And if magic's a wonderful hobby, and if you want to feed your imagination, the more you know, the more creative you can be, and you can start creating your own effects and thinking slightly more out of the box. I think that's a great saying, that if the only tool you've got is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And what Craig has done with this project, and in all 10 hours of it, he has given you moves and controls and sleights that will enable you to do lots and lots of other tricks, really well taught. But then you've got the hours of all of these routines that involve some very clever principles. So a lot of the routines are self-working or semi-automatic, and those principles you can use yourself to develop other tricks as well. It is brilliant. So even if you've just got an ordinary deck of cards, you can probably do a fair portion of these tricks. I forgot to mention, you do actually get a couple of gaff cards as well that can be used for a couple of tricks, add a little bit of visuals. And also, although the posters aren't the original, all of the facts are. All of the quotes do come from the films, the director's the same, the film names are the same. So you've got real films, real facts, real quotes. So there's nothing to be caught on here. The second video is with Lloyd Barnes, and that tends to deal with more of the mentalism routines. It comes across quite a bit as a nice casual jam session almost, with Lloyd interjecting some ideas. Most of the mentalism principles have been around for donkeys. This is sort of the one ahead principle and so on. But there's a nice one that Craig teaches using your phone. So a couple of the facts use your phone, and they're probably my favorite, and I'm not big into phone magic. There's one that uses the IMDb app, which is obviously the film rating site. You go on that and you use that as a revelation. No need to buy anything or anything else. Craig tells you exactly how to set up your phone to do that. And there's also a nice one with ringtones. The first person I know who did a ringtone reveal was Jamie Williams. I saw him do a lecture at the Magic Circle where he used the ringtone as a revelation for a film. Craig teaches a couple of routines with that, and then the rest of the tutorial is split into two different sections with a Jake and a Jack, and again Craig performs every trick and then explains it, which is one of the reasons why the tutorial is so long, is because there's a proper performance of every routine as well. And a lot of the effects are interpretations of classic card tricks, but with this deck. See how films like Will the Films match rather than Will the Cards match, based on the Larry Becker routine. You've got some Do As I Do routines. You've got a version of Shuffleboard by Simon Aronson on there as well. And really interesting, you've got a nice little bit on a stay stack. Craig runs through a little bit of Max Maven's teachings on that. Max Maven had a great book called Read Divider out, all about the stay stack. That's well worth reading if you want to sort of play around making your own packet tricks, or how to mix a packet of cards up but still have some information. One of the things I would have liked is in the index some sort of description as to what the effects might be. So without actually watching all of the tutorial or anything else, you can't really sort of get a glimpse of what the effect's about unless you know, there's a hint in the name perhaps. So for example, Gemini Films might give you a hint as to what that effect is, but it would be nice if there was a little bit of a description. I mean, this thing almost needs to come with its own little instruction booklet that you can flip through. Really, to be honest, it is vast. And this is what you're getting really. So I think this is almost like buying 9 tricks in one. And so I would suggest that if you do buy this, watch just one of the videos or half of one of the videos, pick that effect, learn that effect, go out and perform it, and then come back to it and learn another one, and so on, and just try and separate it out as if you've got 3 or 4 tricks here. It's what I say when people buy, a lot of people buy a lot of magic all at one go. You know, sometimes I'm, you know, packing up multiple tricks, and I'm always a little bit worried that they're just going to move on from one to the other far too fast and not give any of the tricks quite enough time. Personally, I would find the tricks that are the most movie based and the most related to this deck. Sometimes the trick is an advantage that you're using this deck. Sometimes you feel it's just like a card trick and it could have been an ordinary deck of cards. So for example, there's a mentalism trick called Celebrity Date that uses the one head principle. And that it has the advantage of using these cards. It makes it all logical. There's not a disconnect. There's no reason why you're going on a date with an actor or an actress that you've clearly picked. That takes advantage of what this deck is about. And I think those are the effects that are best on this project. Some of the effects require a bit of table space. A lot of them require audience participation because they are semi-automatic, and I really like that, especially if you're doing it for friends and family. It's an easy way of getting them involved, and even if they're just dealing into piles, dealing is what most people do with a pack of cards. For them, it all makes it feel more fair. I'm going to really struggle now and try and find a fault. I would say bits that the movie quotes on the back, I find it very hard to read those markings. The markings do take a bit of getting used to, but once you know what the films are, you can see them as clear as day. I actually need reading glasses now, but honestly, at arm's length, I can read the back of this deck just fine. I'm just not familiar enough with the quotes to nail them, but otherwise, all of the other information, because you're looking for a date of 2008 or whatever, it's really easy. Also, the orientation of the deck makes a difference. So obviously, if you rotate the deck, you're shifting the position of the markings. So that's, something to consider. One thing that I think might be a fault, I might have missed it at some point during the 10 hours, is that the movie release year on the Zoolander card says 1964. Funny enough, I need my glasses to read the front of the card, but not the backs. There you go. I don't think Zoolander was released in 1994 because if I climb to the back, it seems to be from 2002. I don't think that's a big problem, to be honest. And in fact, if the release date is wrong on these cards, then perhaps it makes your mentalism effect that little bit stronger. It comes in the nice box. This box obviously has some built-in reveals as well. Craig wouldn't miss out on an opportunity like that. And that's pretty much all I can tell you, really. I mean, without going through all 37 odd tricks, you know what you're getting. That is Focus by Craig Petty. And finally, we have Elude by Earl Oaks. This is a really simple, nice, visual, slightly quirky close-up effect. You show that you have a padlock and a shoelace, and you thread the padlock onto the shoelace. You hide it in your clenched fist. You then open your clenched fist, and the padlock has vanished, and it has now appeared linked onto a ring that is on your pinky finger. It's quick, it's visual, it's fun, it's surprising. I don't think anyone sees that padlock is ever going to suddenly start dangling from your little finger like that. It uses basically just one simple move, the Clifton ring move, as it's called, named after Emil Clifton, who I think published it. Well, it's certainly published in variations by Earl Nelson in 1979. I'm guessing it's probably appeared in the linking ring or so on before that. It's used in lots and lots of ring routines. Certainly if you know Ringleader by Gregory Wilson, it's used on that. John Cornelius has a great effect where it's used as well. It's taught really nicely on here by Dennis Elm of Denny's Magic. He teaches it. The Clifton ring, that's pretty much the only real move I'm in it. So there's great clarity on that. Let me show you what the props are. You get a nice velvet bag, and Dennis actually suggests that you attach the key to the padlock on the bag, and that way you'll never lose it. You get the shoelace as well. It is just a standard shoelace. Little bits have been trimmed off here, but otherwise it's a standard shoelace. You can use velvet cord, or there's no gimmicks here. So if you're doing a posh corporate gig and you think bringing out a shoelace is a little too much, then you can change it for a velvet cord or something a little bit more elegant. For me, I kind of quite like the idea that it's just something you've put together, rather than, you certainly haven't bought this from a magic shop, I don't think, if you've just got shoelace, and you get padlock and some keys, and that's it. It's as simple as that, really. There's no gimmicks. It is just pure sleight of hand. Although there are no gimmicks as such, you're not completely clean at the moment of the revelation of the padlock on your little finger ring. But once you've taken that ring off and you hand it to someone to examine, you can easily clean up. Plenty of justifications for getting the bag back out of your pocket, anything like that. It's a great little effect. You will have to go and buy a ring that you want to fit on your little finger, but other than that, I think it's super. I think it's a nice little easy thing to carry around. It's good visual, surprising magic. That is Elude by Earl Oaks, $21.99.
This show is awful, terrible, disgusting. See you next week, of course.
And that's it for this week's show, I'm afraid. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do subscribe, as I say every week. I do like it. I do still watch those figures going up. It's very exciting. And yes, in the meantime, come on people, let's grab some magic. Let's get out there and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye bye.